undoing these beliefs. And it really seemed to be coming from a source that was not in time and space, that was speaking using the symbols of time and space. So I know a lot of you relate to that because a lot of people have that experience. So I studied it for about 8 hours a day at the beginning. I mean, I basically saw that it was my way out of conflict. And I saw that it was a very powerful tool, and it was in English. I didn't even have to translate it from the Hebrew or the Greek or the Latin. And it had beautiful Shakespearean blank verse in it, and it was funny. And at some points it said, this is a very simple course. You know, if it seems confusing or conflictual or complex, you know, it's like you're interpreting against it. But my experience was, yep. So I did have, reading it for 8 hours a day, I did have resistance that took the form after hours at a time of the eyelids getting very heavy. So that the ego was in there going, no, stop, no more. You know, oh no, I'm melting. And so I would, you know, take a break, have a snack, go for a swim, you know, just take a walk, and then come back really fresh and come right at it just as with just as much passion, and read it that way. Also, I popped open the teacher's manual first, so I read the teacher's manual first, and it was like question and answer, which just captured my attention, you know, about reincarnation and, you know, relationships and things like that are very practical questions, I think, that most human beings have. And so that's captivating. And then I would pop the book open and let the Spirit direct me as to what I would read. And it wasn't chronological at the beginning. It was just very much I would open it up. It would answer the question of the day or the issue I was dealing with. And then I would read on for many, many pages, sometimes chapters, and then, you know, do it that way. So I see that the Course is aimed at an experience, and in the early years I studied it so much that I went to a conference, I think it was 1992, and I think John Monday introduced me to Robert Perry and Alan Watson as a walking Course in Miracles encyclopedia. I don't know if any of you have ever been introduced as anybody as an encyclopedia, but there was something in me that thought, yep, I do know it, like the back of my hand. I could, some people have resistance with it, I could rattle off passages and even give you page numbers. Of course, that was back when they had the first edition, now it's all shifted. But I got to a point where I really wanted the experience that the Course was pointing at, and I realized that I would do anything for that. I would study it. I would go wherever I was asked to go, do whatever I was asked to do. I had been very shy as a child in high school, and I was so shy that in the senior superlatives in the yearbook, I was voted most quiet in my senior class instead of most athletic or most popular. So you realize what the Holy Spirit had to work with. It was a very willing heart and a very willing mind, but also some self-consciousness issues, some embarrassment issues, those kind of things, like a little wallflower. But as I really poured my heart and soul into it, the Course, the passion and the joy and the happiness became so intense that what love is it's ever extending and ever radiating. So as I got into identifying with this source and love, then it started to flow through me like a river. And initially I would speak to course groups that weren't facilitated, but they were about as large as this. And in the early years, I would just show up, and I'd be so happy to be there, beaming, joyful. Everyone would have some snacks. We'd sit down. They'd read from the text. Somebody would have a question, and all the heads would always turn to this body. It was a very funny-looking course group, you know. Question, all the heads, because it was just whooshing through with such clarity that it was a very unusual kind of course group. Instead of discussing and bantering about, what do you think, and what's your opinion about that word, and, you know, it was more just letting the Holy Spirit answer things very directly. And that went on for a while. Then I went through hermitage experiences where I was out in the woods, We were listening, Sherry was talking about David Hawkins, about going out to the desert for 6 years. I went down to the woods of Kentucky initially, and, got to face a lot of issues like loneliness and desires for companionship and all kinds of desires for stimulation and whatever that are typical of the world. I had a hermitage. It was kind of like Henry David Thoreau's little cottage on Walden Pond. No running water, very, very simple. Just made little simple pancakes with grains. I tried to experiment with breads, see the easiest food I could make. Pancakes won out. And so, but while I was doing that, of course, I had my Course in Miracles book, a little love seat down there to just rock in the trees and be with all the creatures, the bugs and the snakes and the roaches and whatever. Let go of a lot of conditioning of just coming from suburban America. My water usage, using lots of water, just tried to live simply, and the ego absolutely revolted. Just absolutely. It would be like trying to go too fast, too quick. The ego just revolted. But that was good too, because I was like, okay, let's get you flushed up there. We don't want you staying down there like a spider at the bottom of the web. We want to see a little more of you so you can get exposed and just show yourself. And it did. And so it was very intense. More times after that, I was impelled to start traveling, living like Jesus and the apostles live. Jesus said, freely you have received, now freely give. You can never charge a penny for anything. You can give it all away for free. Booklets, pamphlets, tapes, talks, counseling, whatever. You can't charge for salvation. You can't charge for enlightenment. I'll take care of you. We had the old stories of the lilies of the field and, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be added unto you. Then the Course comes along and, that passage, the promise, once you have accepted His plan, is the one function that you would fulfill. There will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. And on and on and on. That was almost like, in case you missed it, I'm going to give it to you real clear that I will arrange time and space for you if you will be a miracle worker. If you will speak this message of hope and joy around the country, around Canada, and now around the world, I will arrange everything. I'll take care of your meals, places to stay, frequent flyer miles, donated, it just comes flooding in. It's a very simple life, though. You're not looking for luxury and convenience. You're just looking for opportunities to shine the light everywhere. Not just like at conferences or course groups, but because most of the people I meet when I travel are not Course in Miracles students. When you're in restaurants and rest areas and on airplanes and trains and ferries, that's where the joy really is. And people say it must be nice going to so many course groups and so many course conferences and whatever. And I said, well, I'd miss the whole journey if I thought of it that way. It's everything. It's like a continuous flow all during the day and even into the evening in sleeping hours, where you're having encounters in your dreams. And in the early years, I was doing teaching sessions in my dreams, and I'd wake up and I go, wow, what did I just teach? That was really a deep, long session there, dreaming of teaching sessions. And then I thought, well, that's no different than during the day. I'm just teaching what I would learn, even in my dreams. But that was just a reflection of my passion to reach enlightenment and have peace of mind constantly, reach a constant state of peace of mind. So that's what the Course aims at, and that's the joy for me, is to show up in a very, very happy, constant state and meet with everyone who is using this path. And now it's actually a lot of the groups I do, people study a lot of other things too. Power of Now, some of you probably know of a lot of the books I've seen passed around. Gary Renard's new book just came out, Disappearance of the Universe. Even some groups like Conversations with God, some of you are familiar with Neil Donald Walsh and everything. Metaphysics are a little different in some of those, but people have a lot of different inroads that they take into the spiritual journey. And when I come together, they're more enlightenment gatherings now than they are Course in Miracles gatherings, because that's just one